Everybody, welcome back to Soul Speak with Jenny Israel. I am back with my Soul Tribe Saturdays for the month of June. And for those of you who've been following me, you know that in the month of May, I dedicated the majority of my time, my teaching to the Divine Feminine, given the fact that May was the month of Mother's Day. We've moved into June, and I do feel there is no better time than now, not only because of Father's Day coming up, but because we are in a month where we've got some major planetary movement with our sun, which is the masculine presence in our solar system. And we have some real deep movement of the new vibrations of New Earth, really coming to full transparency and visibility this month. So we are on to the next level of journeying. And I wanted to take an opportunity to bring some men into the podcast because I haven't done that yet. So I would like to introduce all of you to Will Day of Will Day Art. He's out in Colorado. So he and I have shared a spiritual journey through client sessions for the better part of the last year now. And I feel very privileged to have been on an intimate journey with Will during his own personal healing and awakening during this really interesting time that the pandemic brought us, and how we are using this to create light on our planet. And the reason why I wanted to bring Will on first is because I think that it's really important inside of our personal awakenings to understand that the healer part of us, that light bearer part of us is awakening and coming forward to be a bigger part of our existence. We're learning how to be more heart-centered individuals, and that healing work doesn't have to look the way that you just assume that it would, like doing what I do, or putting hands on a person, or that you can be a light bearer and do healing work in lots of different ways to bring a vibration to the planet. And Will is very much doing that now in the series of work that he's been creating over the last year. There is a profound vibration that is emerging. And I feel very, very lucky to have watched this emerge with him as it's been happening. And that, I told him, I said, I'm gonna expose you today. I'm gonna tell everybody who you really are. As the first piece of work that Will showed me. And for those of you who are tuning into the audio version of this podcast, please know that there's a visual version on my YouTube channel. But I also encourage you to visit Will's IGTV and IG account and his website and Facebook page. He's very active on social media with his work at Will Day Art. That's it. And you can see his work. Obviously that's a visual journey that we all want you to take. But for those of you who are just listening, when I first started with Will, one of the first pieces that I had seen that he had done in what he calls the Hope series, I instantly saw Metatron looking out from this painting. And I said, Will, that's Metatron. And he's like, who the hell is Metatron? I want to know about this guy. And so Metatron still sits in Will's studio. And I do have a picture of Metatron on my Insta. And Will has him there. He was a feature in Will's last show that he just did last month. So I encourage you to go on and feast your eyes. But I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to hand it over to Will. I would like you to just tell everybody a little bit about who you are, your origin story, and what brought you into being Will Day, the artist.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, Jenny, thanks for having me. It's a long story. We all have our own stories. I think how I got here is really through a lot of trial and tribulations. And I think that's normal for the human spirit. I was born in New York City, raised in Connecticut, and I was trained to be working in the world of finance and Wall Street, basically. You know? And so I thought that was my path to connecting to the universe. And I worked for a long time before 9/11 in Wall Street and commuted and really, I wanted to be this amazing family guy that learned how to be an example for others through a lot of different things that really wasn't Will Day. I was always creative. I always knew I could paint. I always knew I could express myself through visuals, but I didn't know how to ever make a living. So just in real short, we all have these call to actions in our lives. And as I grew up and we all kind of mature to different ages of our journey, I think my journey was really woken up when I was working in Wall Street and just got married, and 9/11 occurred. And my wife worked in Tower 2 of the World Trade Center on the 78th floor. The second plane went into her office. She was late because we were organizing our wedding. But I bring this up because I was really, I didn't really know what I wanted in the world until something shook me. So everybody has a wake-up call. It could be sickness, health, money, divorce, whatever it is. But you have to learn how to find your own journey. And that journey sometimes is easier than others. But mine was waking up to this global sense that we are shifting in the universe. And shifting for me was being more of a creative spirit / healer, which I didn't think I was. But I knew I was being knocked in my head so many times to be able to say, I want to be the light. I want to be a light. I want to be a solution. I want to be healthy. I don't want to bring darkness. And I didn't know I could paint. All I knew is that I like people. I like to please people, like to make things really beautiful and positive. And I started to paint, and painting was my way to really interact with a whole new dimension that is out there. And it brought so many new relationships to the world that I never knew existed. Instead of me just having a 2D relationship with a person or a human flesh, I was finally able to start dreaming again and start waking up after this call to action after 9/11 New York City. And once I left Wall Street, I went into the world of architecture to get a formal degree at Pratt Institute in New York and get a master's degree, because I thought that was the right official path to generate revenue, be responsible, and be a loving husband. But I was so confused on how I wanted to ground myself to not only my family, but to myself, and how I could connect to the universe. Because I didn't know what it meant to really be open and be kind and be a light and be positive and be inspirational. I thought it meant by having a lot of money, providing for my family, being strong, masculine, having a lot of activities, showing that I'm good with people, be part of some causes. It was all fluff. Didn't mean have any meaning. But I knew when I started to work from my heart, as Jenny was talking about, things changed dramatically. And, that's why I started. I started to say, hey, I am seeking. And once we all start seeking and asking, something is going to change in your life. Sometimes it's very dramatic. Sometimes it takes time. I've been doing this for now almost 18 years, almost full time as a painter. But before that, I was starting in 2001 when I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm ready. I'm ready to be the light. Well, to get to this place where I am now, it takes a long time. And sometimes people are not ready to shift and change with you. And so that's that's, one of the challenges. But, in a short way that I describe this journey, the journey really is about courage. It's about courage for each one of us to look into our own heart and trust our own intuition and believe that we are here for a higher purpose.
Now, you shared with me that part of this awakening journey for you to really go forward in these new directions, that there was a vision that occurred, a dream.
Whew, the dream. I mean, that's a really good point. I think we all get hit with some kind of dream, right? For me, I did have a dream, but this was right early on. And so I can't really, I've shared the dream with Jenny and some other people and my wife, and it's still surreal because it's like that time to me, it still feels so part of who I am, even though that was like 15 years ago. So the dream was really the wake-up call of, okay, whoever your guides are, whoever you believe. I had a few guides who took me from the present day to past, present, and walked me through the universe and opened my mind to say, there's a lot out there. Now, how you handle that and how you go about that is your choice. But I think my dream was really about trusting that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of angels and a lot of your guides that want to see all of us succeed and be healthy and find our purpose. And it's right in front of us. The dream was so powerful that, I wrote it down. I still look at it, remind myself that it's one of the, without going into crazy details, I really, I was ready to receive. One of the things Jenny talks about is, are you willing and ready to receive these moments when you say, I want to change? And we don't know what that is going to be. I didn't know I was going to have this great dream that I have these guides show me these certain passageways and these planes in the universe. I was like, what is that? And I didn't know what these different dimensions were. I was just trying to seek joy, health, and I was living in this little moment in time, and my mind really exploded and say, wow, I'm not even touching part of my experience on the human level yet. And it was beautiful. So, the encouragement is that we all get hit with dreams. Some are more powerful than others. How are you going to act on those dreams, and when are you going to act on them?
Mm-hmm. So, you mentioned like that period of time when you really kind of moved from the 2D vapid, like you used the word fluff, that level of consciousness into a life where you were functioning more from the heart. And, you're right, that in and unto itself, once we sign up for that, once we clear the road to make that happen, we have no idea what towers have to fall. No pun, well, obviously pun intended, because that's where this started with you. But, like our own personal towers end up falling when we go into that place of true authenticity and intentionality in the way we live, not just what we do, but who we are. And the reconstruction of our lives really starts. And it is a end of times journey, right? It is the end goal is to live from the heart, and we just kind of evolve through that. But I want to, come back into more present time. Will came to me through a mutual friend who is also a healer, and one of my light team for sure. And, it was a really interesting time. I think we were, even though he was in a different part of the country, watching what was going on in the world and having another layer of awakening going on. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit, Will, because, what I've been encouraging Will to do is to you know, he has a resume as a speaker. He's done the TED Talks. He's done, you know, these things. He even, you know, had a stint as a young man in the Peace Corps, you know, like him being out there and being a doer and getting his hands dirty, and he's not a stranger to using his voice on a public forum either. But this new way of expressing himself is coming from a different level of testimonial. And I'm really encouraging him to fully embrace the fact that, I mean, I've gotten to witness some pretty amazing things through his journey. The masters that come through in his sessions are just astounding. We're talking about masters from the perspective of art, right? We've got our, you know, our masters of the past, but ascended masters as well. And, you know, the angelic field. And, you know, I was telling him today that the one that's behind him there, which is one of his newest pieces, which you have to go and watch the videos on his Insta page, because you can't really tell. He's got the little stool back there by the piece. It's a 12 by 12 canvas. So you really can't get the scale unless you see him standing on top of the canvas as he's rolling it out. Is pretty profound. But the colors that are in there are that blue that's coming through is actually a vibrational blue that is associated with the galactics, the Pleiadians, which we actually are in a Pleiadian portal in this time period now. And see, this is the thing with Will. He doesn't even know like what he's channeling. It's just like, he just knows that the movement and the color and the vibration and the feelings and the purpose and passion that he has behind it guides him on the canvas. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about what that journey has been like for you, this new level of awakening. And, you know, you already touched on a little bit of your origin challenges that brought you into your new career. But what's it been like over the last year in this awakening for you?
I think it's been a lot harder than I thought. You know, I always thought like, oh wow, I'm feeling good now. I've awakened. I'm feeling the sense of the universe. I feel love. I'm awesome. Well, that doesn't always transcend into peace with the ones that are closest to you. Maybe your family, maybe your wife, your husband, your kids. So yeah, as we all ascend, sometimes they don't ascend with you because they're on a different journey. So I think the challenge is, how do we become relatable? How do we find balance? So yeah, I'm on cloud nine, right? And I go out to the universe and I start feeling this great stuff, but I bring it down and I'm in this massive studio and I start emotionally connecting to these amazing stories and narratives that are about peace, love. It's about, you know, finding your own kind of spiritual connection to health and wellness. And so I think for me, the biggest challenge is really to learn how to, steer the ship, steer my vessel, steer people to understand that I'm not any better than you. I am just trying to seek and be the best, purest, honest person I can be, that God created me to be, and be an example for light. And I want you to come with me. Well, some people are like, well, I think this is the way you do it. I said, awesome. But there are different challenges. And as we ascend to different levels and planes and open our hearts to these amazing messages, sometimes those messages are not what people want to hear. And seeing real truth in your face, and I like Jenny, she said, deconstructing those towers. That's an amazing metaphor from in the Bible and everywhere else and today. But yeah, I guess I did deconstruct a lot of those towers to be completely raw and open up myself to past, present, and future experiences. Well, that then causes a lot of concerns and a lot of discomfort from the ones you love, because they're not seeing it. And you're like, how could you not see that? How can you not feel that? It's right here. Oh my gosh, they come home and they're like, okay, I come in hot because I just felt this beautiful love and joy, and I'm surrounding myself with this. And then I go back into the world and the universe, and then they're like, we're not feeling it, Will. Come to our level. I'm like, I don't want to go to your level. I want you to seek and experience everything that I just witnessed, and come with me again. Come and hang with me, but can't do it for you. So I think my challenge, and I think all of us as we seek here, is to really, be the pillar of light, be someone that is true to ourselves, but also be respectful of the other people's journeys and see them where they are. Yeah, I want to tell my wife to like do this, read this, be this, talk to this person, go here, blah, blah, blah. She's like, enough. Like, I love you, but I need to witness it on my own. And I said, great. My son, my daughter, same thing. I have to back away and just hold my tongue. And I try to lead by example. And it's hard. It's very tough because I want to tell them all this stuff. And have reached out, and they're like, sounds a little goofy to me. That's just not in my alignment. So, I'm a doer, as Jenny said. I do, and I expect people to see it, and I want my doing to rub off, and it's like, it shocks me when you hopefully are doing something with pure light, but some people don't see it the same way. They may think that's not positive, that's not inspiring, or they're jealous, they're pissed, they're angry, they're just frustrated, they're disappointed, they're shocked on why you're doing this. And so, this is a learning process. And I think just by talking with Jenny, I don't go out and seek, hey, tell me what's going to happen now. No, I come to a place, I get quiet, you can meditate, whatever works for you. And then I start saying, I'm ready to receive. Every day is different. And that's what I love about the journey here, about trying to heal, not only myself, but the people I love around me, but also leave a mark of healing and positive and I think guidance for people to say, we are all here to learn from each other. Mm-hmm. And no one's better than each other. I don't care how much money you have or how successful you are. I mean, it's interesting because it's like, if you guys, I'm obviously an artist, I'm a creative spirit. But if Leonardo da Vinci was sitting here hanging out with Will Day right now on my table, you think he'd be doing the same thing that he did back then? No. We'd be sitting there talking about some new ideas, new suggestions, but he was open to receive these amazing, incredible, I think, incredible inventions, incredible innovations, incredible kind of timeless experiences that he could share. And that's what I'm doing. Now they're all in different levels, and we all are doing that differently. But trust me, do I feel Leonardo here, Michelangelo, of course. But I respect who they are. And now it's our job, all of us living today, to say we acknowledge all that. We are going to build on that, and we are going to make it ours, so then we can actually be more positive and more productive and lead by example. So,
well, I mean, you look at some of those old masters, and you have to think, especially Da Vinci. I would think, what a kook, man. He's pumping out this modern day technology, in a time when nobody's like, what is that? But to think about it from the perspective of, when you're in a place where you're open to receive, and what is the age of Aquarius? It is an age of technology, meaning we are understanding the mapping of the brain and the heart, the collaboration of that higher level of intelligence. We are on a new path of mastery in being human, and trying to be the best human we can be while we're here. And, Will and I we're both totally team Jesus. We've had so many conversations over the last year about that path of mastery and how visible it's been in this modern day era, but not the way that necessarily the Bible casts it, right? So it's like we've got the old way of doing things. The truth hasn't changed much, but how we conceptualize the truth, how we communicate the truth, all of those things is where we're having to really ground ourselves in our hearts and our humility and our more openness in our ability to, like you said, to see another person's path, to have compassion for that and respect it, and know that it's not our job to steer their ship. We catch wind in our sails and we go on our journey, and we hope that they're sailing alongside of us, doing their own thing. But it is as far as my perspective on the divine masculine, I think it is everything that you've talked about. It's the restructuring the foundations of what we feel is strength and love and being able to support your family, what these things look like, and in a space that is authentic and not always easy. But to be able to merge this field of the heart with the field of the intellect, and be able to produce truth from that place.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I think you talk about the divine masculine. I've questioned it. You and I've chatted about it. And what does it really mean to be truly masculine in this modern day? So I think, with this ability to be able to create and express myself on a canvas, I still feel like I've been able to be a lot more masculine, because I've been able to tap into both sides, the feminine and masculine side. And like, what does that really mean? Well, that means that I'm totally free and open to receive different messages and different colors and different shapes, and experiment with what I do as a creative spirit. So to me, masculine is really now transcending into everything that's not just physical, and it's not just getting, providing for my family, but it's also showing that there is a soft side to Will Day and all of us males out there, and respecting that there is a simple balance, and we're just as tough as the past generation, but we need to encourage all of us to really not be afraid to let some of those other emotions and feelings come into us, because that makes us actually even stronger. If you suppress it, then you get too one-sided, and that's what the society sees right now, is this category of these other males that like bad. Like, no, you got to help bring that back into the fold, so then we become more productive and everybody else benefits from that masculine testosterone kind of emotions that God gave us.
Mm-hmm.
Just go buy it and say, hey, I can't wait to get all this new testosterone and go crazy. No, I am saying, hey, this is God gave me this body. I have this amazing spirit. I'm going to fill it as best I can. And I'm going to express this in a way that's from the heart, that really transcends and hopefully leads by example for other people to say, I like that. I want that too. But what they want is their freedom to be able to feel comfortable in their own body and be able to and to be connected to something that they feel loved, they feel wanted, they feel powerful, they feel important.
Mm-hmm.
We've
had that conversation about like the basic human needs, the place where we all meet at that same 0 point, where we're not different from one another. When we look at it we zoom out in that 50,000 foot perspective, we're all pretty much longing for the same things and having a very similar experience, no matter what community we're in, what state we're in, what country we're in, what status you're classified in, like all of those things, we're all kind of fighting for our truth to be heard. We're fighting to be seen. We're fighting to be respected. We're seeing so much of this reorganization. It's like history repeating itself. We're seeing a lot of it now coming back up again, of this real vibration of independence, liberation, truth, and freedom. So I want to using that kind of vibration, let's talk about what's happening now with you. Like, I know that this vision is starting to mature a bit for you in a direction that really feels good, as far as this desire that's, really started happening the end of last year. Will had gotten into this place, as all of us do inside of our awakening. We reach a point where we're like, enough already, just get me started. Like, like the angsty part, right? It's like, okay, I get it, I hear you, but can you just show me something? Like, just I want to do it. I want to get started. Like, where am I going with this? I know what I want to do. I know the injection of light and hope and love. And like, I want to vibrate it into people's bodies. So what do I do? How am I going to do this? Now, here we are, 6 months later. And by no coincidence, this was happening for Will in the last eclipse season. And here we are, we're in eclipse season again. So, and now he's got some real seeds planted. So let's hear about it, Will, because it's really exciting.
I mean, I think you nailed it. It's like, I'm a dreamer, right? I think hopefully a lot of us who seek are dreamers, right? And yes, when I started this journey, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. Now what? Like, let's do this, right? Let's figure it out. And, it takes time to get the clarity of like, oh, now that you can paint, now it's like, oh, it's easy now. No, it was like, okay, where do I go with this narrative and this message? And so I think last year, working with you, Jenny, kind of helped open up the freedom for me to release my restrictions from just painting, because there's more to it. And so I think now what I'm really sensing, that I've been able to shed some of these layers of expectations and past experiences. I think I'm reacting to the world around me, right? And I think the thing that I'm really trying to instill is this idea of what it really means to have freedom. And more importantly, living in America, what does it really mean to be part of the American dream again? Since COVID, basically, it was a reset. I call it the rebirth or renaissance, right? And so I know we are living in a renaissance. How you approach that is up to you. So with those clear eyes, open hearts, I was like, hey, I'm ready to plant these seeds to sort of say, I want to get back to my roots of being with people and creating, not just in my studio, but creating with people to understand what it feels for them to get the power of their personal health and their personal excitement. So I would love to create a body work and series of work that's really about rediscovering the American dream and going to cities and creating kind of like these residence programs from each city, bring some of the local artists, talk to people, bring them hope, and encourage them to be creative and create a body of work that represents these themes that are very uplifting and timeless for each city or each community or each county. Because here in Boulder, Colorado, it's different than Los Angeles or Kentucky or Cincinnati or in Florida. I mean, and that would be just so powerful to bring back the power to the individual and say, hey, how do you express yourself, either with me or through other mediums, to really launch this basic element of what this country was founded on: freedom, dreaming. It's not just having a house and, whatever the dream is. How do we re-spark that courage again, and not just hear from these talking heads in politics, and let the people talk and let them tell the stories, because they're the ones who built this country, you and me. I mean, it's just the most insane way to let people be people without dividing. I am so tired of division. And it's like, we're better than that. We're better about name calling and bullying. It's like, I don't think God wanted us to do that. Is that power, control, and ego? Of course it is. And I'm not just trying to be superficial here. I'm trying to look beyond what's next. Yeah, we're angry, we're fearful, we're scared. But why not bring it back to say, hey, let's look at our spirits again. Let's look inside our souls and say, what is it like to live here right now and bring hope to each individual. And I love to be part of that, that solution, and be a channel for those types of opportunities for people who have had different opportunities than myself. So that's what I've been trying to plant right now. And that's a big team. That's a lot of logistics. But that's something I know I see in the future. Has it come to me in a dream? No, but as Jenny said, I've been able to knock down some of these layers so that I can actually have these conversations that seem a little more real, because I do want to make an impact, and not just here in the United States, but I'm starting locally and then move globally where there are no borders.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is the key of manifestation, is being able to project from the heart. And the more you're able to go in, do your own healing work and peel back these layers, the more sound those vibrations are that are moving out into the universe, that ripple out. And then what does that do? It magnetizes back things that are in alignment with that. And a lot of that has to do with people. And so having these people appear, on your stage, and that are in alignment with this messaging, that are in alignment with the delivery out into the world. It's exciting to think about having these exhibits in every city that would represent the story of that location. To be able to see in our own country the different colors, if you will, of the experiences people have been having, through this pivotal historical time in humanity, to kind of bring a cohesiveness to, instead of it being, oh, my state is walled off to your state, and my state's better than your state because our percentages of COVID are lower. And, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So like you said, it's like not the governors, but the people. And, it's a beautiful image to see in my mind. So, I already told everybody, where you can find Will. It's willdayart.com. And he also has the Instagram page and his Facebook page where he's very active. And you get to see the stories of these pieces that he's creating. And that's something that Will has said over and over again is really becoming important to him, is this story that's emerging. And this is something we talk about in a lot of the spiritual circles, is dissolving the old narrative, to create a new one, to create a new conversation, create a new dialogue, something that is more forgiving, more compassionate, more love-based, a higher level of truth that starts to dissolve this division. So go watch Will's story as it's being told, with his not just his art. He's doing some fun things. He's already started this vision that he's talked about, pulling in some other artists, creating these teams. So I'm excited to see what's happening. I think we'll close, Will, with this goes back to just your own personal level of work, but I'm going to ask you to what pieces of wisdom do you have to give first to the men that are tuning in to this and might be in the midst of their own tower falling or reestablishing, their new identity and all of this awakening, and then to the women about their men. So if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. First to the men, as I talk about this a lot, I say, don't be afraid of those new challenges that are arising for all of us. And, what does that really mean? I say, learn to embrace those new differences that are occurring with the job market, your skill sets. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Do not be afraid to reach out to other people that may not be in your network. The second thing I would say is maybe look at your own internal health. Figure out, why is there a shift? Why is there something changing? Do you want to change? middle age. I may not look like a high school senior, but I'm trying to mentally reset my entire body. And so that is super important for the masculine side, because like you just can't just cut off drinking or sugar. You have to tell your body as a masculine dude to say, I want to completely, I want to find my own renaissance within myself, because we're going to live till 100 years old. So do you want to live healthy? Do you want to live in a wheelchair? I don't know. Jenny said we are planting seeds right now for how your body's going to react to the new world. So you think seriously about how you want to be strong and masculine from a physical side, and that really starts with your internal health. And that's what I've been trying to do. And that's super important, and it energizes me to maintain what I think is going to give us clarity and I think strength for us to lead in any way that is. For women, I would just say we're all changing for your partners, or your fathers or your friends or your husbands. And we're in a place where we're being hit in many different directions, and it's hard. It's hard for us to respond. It's hard for us to lead. It's hard for us to guide. It's hard for us to, be sensitive and be kind at the same time, because in a way, the narrative of the media is saying that the males are bad, and that's not helpful, and I think what we would say is just making sure that we respect on where we are at this time. Don't bring past into this moment, and rise up to the place where that individual is at this moment, and say, hey, if you're seeking and you're different and you change, cool, I'm with you. But don't start putting the baggage of everybody else's narrative on us, because I'm unique, you're unique, and your husband and your boyfriend or whoever it is, your brothers, your sons, we are all respecting their journeys. And unless they're doing bad, I get it, but allow them to breathe, allow them to give them the comfort of letting those individuals explore what they need to do in this new narrative, because it is completely different from what our parents were doing. And I think the most successful males out there are the ones who are not only confident, but are not afraid to constantly change, but also merge into this new, the new world, to say, hey, I'm not going to do it the same way my dad did it or my grandfather. And that wasn't wrong. It's just, let's open up the dialogue to say, I'm okay. I'm with you if you're changing and you're morphing. It is really, really important to give us a little, what's the right word? Sense of belief that you believe in our journey, even though we don't understand what's happening. And it's just those words of kindness, will really, guide us. Sorry.
Isn't it interesting how the human condition inside of egoic fear, we resist change, but yet we crave it at the same time, because the natural law of our world realm of matter says that if you aren't growing, then you're dying, because the minute that things start to stop growing, they start to atrophy, right? And die. And, I hear conversations inside my head right now, like my own, or, talking to friends about their partners or even their parents, like those difficult relationships we have in our lives, where we're saying, I just wish the person would change. I just wish the person would change. But the minute that they start to change and it has an effect on us, then we're like, what happened to you? You changed. So, I love everything you said about, just being receptive, and not to bring the past back into a moment where change can happen, and to know that change is scary. It is. But if there's movement going on, if you get on board, that miraculous things can happen for you and for your loved ones. So thank you, Will, for taking your time to be here with me today and to to talk to all of the listeners. Do you have any final words before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I do. This means this is really important to be able to share these journeys, all of us. So, final words is that Jenny's been amazing conduit, guys, and she's been really powerful to not steer me, but challenge me. And I think what I seek in the universe is allies. We all do. Jenny's been a great ally to at least help um, in this passageway. So, I think my message to all of us is to don't be afraid to find those allies and find people that you trust. But it's scary because I would never have thought this is who I'd be talking to, a year ago or 2 years ago. But here I am, and it's comfortable and it's okay. And you're going to find people that you never expected to really listen to you, or as you change, you're going to grow with. But that is part of the exciting journey, and you want to be able to share that. And that's what I hope we all can do as we venture on in our own paths.
Well, thank you again. And it has been a very exciting and dynamic journey with you, Will, to say the least.
Just beginning. We got another 50 years, folks. So
that's right.
It's just, there's no time. So keep it going. So don't ever hold time to you as a way to shut you down and not be inspiring and productive.
Now, I know I mentioned website, Facebook, Instagram. Is there another way that I missed that people can interact with you and your work?
I mean, LinkedIn, but I think best way is to Instagram. I use quite a bit. It's very interactive. It's live, as Jenny's used, and it's my way right now, my voice, to share the behind the scenes of how to be creative and how to bring you into the fold of saying this is not just about Will. This is about sharing this creative spark that will hopefully encourage you to be someone a little different or challenge what's going on around you. So
now, I know we've talked about this from the spectator standpoint of, people watching you grow in your work and, things like that. But from the collector's side, how does someone get in touch with you to purchase or commission?
I think what they've been doing, I've had art consultants, there's certain people that have worked with me, but directly still, I'm changing the model. Clients and collectors call me directly through my website, or they email or my phone. And depending on what region of the country you are, I may have some people help me, but it's still right now, you're calling me. So pretty simple.
All right.
You like the art, talk, create a great story, boom, done.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Will, for bringing your energy to the channel. I really appreciate it. And to everyone that's listening, stay tuned in for this month. I'm going to have some other really amazing men showing up on my podcast this month. Don't forget to add these intentions into your Father's Day wishes. And just starting to take a little bit of a new perspective on the men that are in your life, and potentially climbing in their shoes for a moment inside of this awakening process. Thank you all for tuning in as usual. If you were inspired, please share, tag friends. Let's get this message out. So thanks, everybody. Until next time, blessings to all.